The Sumerians were one of the earliest known civilizations, emerging in southern Mesopotamia, which is now modern-day Iraq, around 3100 BC. They established a network of city-states, including Uruk, Lagash, and Eridu, and are credited with numerous innovations such as writing, the wheel, advanced irrigation, and the first known legal codes. At their peak, the Sumerians dominated Mesopotamia, influencing later civilizations like the Akkadians, Babylonians, and Assyrians. Their political structure consisted of independent city-states, each ruled by a king who claimed divine authority. Trade flourished, connecting Sumer to regions as distant as the Indus Valley and Anatolia. Despite their achievements, the Sumerians faced a gradual decline. Their downfall began around 2300 BC when Sargon of Akkad conquered Sumer, creating the first known empire. Though Sumerian culture continued on, Akkadian rule weakened the independence of their city-states. Sumer would eventually regain prominence under the third dynasty of but this revival was short-lived. By 2000 BC, repeated invasions by the Elamites and the Amorites destabilized the region. The city of one of the last strongholds of Sumerian power, fell around 2004 BC, marking the end of Sumer as a political entity. After the fall, the Sumerians were gradually absorbed into the cultures that succeeded them, specifically the Babylonians, who inherited much of their knowledge, language, and administrative systems. The land of Sumer remained a center of civilization, but it was no longer under Sumerian rule. Over time, their language faded, replaced by Akkadian and later Aramaic. Though their civilization fell, their contributions laid the foundation for future empires, making their influence one of the most important in human history. The Akkadian Empire, founded by Sargon of Akkad around 2334 BC, was the first known empire in history, uniting the various city-states of Sumer and extending its influence across Mesopotamia. At its height, the empire stretched from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean, encompassing much of modern-day Iraq, Syria, and parts of Iran and Turkey. The Akkadians centralized power, standardized administration, and spread their Semitic language, which would later influence Babylonian and Assyrian dialects. They also facilitated trade, connecting Mesopotamia to distant regions, and contributed to advancements in art, literature, and warfare. Despite its power, the Akkadian Empire fell into decline due to a combination of internal strife, external invasions, and environmental factors. By the late 22nd century BC, successive rulers struggled to maintain control over the vast territory. During the reign of Shar Kali-Sheri between 2217 to 2193 BC, the empire faced rebellions from subject states and attacks from the Gutians, a mountain people from the Zagros region. Climate change, including severe droughts and desertification, further weakened agriculture and disrupted the economy. As centralized power crumbled, Mesopotamia fragmented into smaller, warring states. The final blow came around 2154 BC, when the Gutians overran the Akkadian capital and effectively ended the empire. After the fall, the people of Akkad were absorbed into successor states, specifically the third dynasty of which briefly restored Sumerian rule. The Akkadian language and culture persisted for centuries, influencing later civilizations, including the Babylonians and Assyrians. The land that once formed the empire remained a contested and culturally rich region, but Akkad itself faded from political prominence. The Minoan Civilization flourished on the island of Crete from approximately 3000 BC to 1100 BC, reaching its peak between 2000 and 1450 BC. As one of the earliest advanced civilizations in Europe, the Minoans developed impressive luxurious centers such as Knossos, Phaistos, and Malea. They were known for their sophisticated art, advanced architecture, and complex trade networks that connected them with Egypt, the Near East, and mainland Greece. The Minoans also developed an early form of writing, known as Linear A, which remains undeciphered. Their society was heavily influenced by maritime trade, and they were a dominant naval power in the Aegean. The decline of the Minoan civilization was a gradual process influenced by both natural disasters and external threats. Around 1600 BC, the massive volcanic eruption on the island of Thera triggered a series of devastating tsunamis and earthquakes that severely damaged Minoan cities. Although the civilization managed to recover, it was significantly weakened. By 1450 BC, the Mycenaeans, a Greek-speaking people from the mainland, began to assert control over Crete. They took over many Minoan palaces and integrated aspects of Minoan culture into their own. The final collapse of the Minoan Civilization occurred around 1100 BC, likely due to continued Mycenaean dominance, internal decline, and possible additional invasions. After the fall, the Minoan people were absorbed into Mycenaean and later Greek cultures. The once thriving luxurious centers fell into ruin, and Linear A writing was replaced by the Mycenaean Linear B script. Crete remained an important cultural and trade hub, but the distinct Minoan identity faded over time. Despite their fall, the Minoans left a major impact on Greek mythology, art, and architecture, influencing the development of later European civilizations. The Hittite Empire emerged in Anatolia, which is now modern-day Turkey, around 1600 BC, and became one of the most powerful civilizations of the ancient Near East. At its height, between the 14th and 13th centuries BC, the Hittite Empire controlled vast territories, including parts of modern Turkey, Syria, and Iraq. The Hittites were skilled warriors and diplomats, known for their use of chariots and early ironworking. Their capital, Hattusa, was a major political and cultural center. The Hittites rivaled Egypt, Babylonia, and Assyria, famously clashing with Pharaoh Ramses II at the Battle of Kadesh around 1274 BC, which led to one of the earliest known peace treaties. The empire began to decline in the early 12th century BC due to internal struggles, economic instability, and external threats. A series of poor harvests and climate change weakened their economy, while conflicts with the Assyrians and invasions by the mysterious Sea Peoples further destabilized the region. The final blow came around 1180 BC, when Hattusa was destroyed, likely due to internal rebellion or enemy invasion. The last known Hittite rulers struggled to maintain control, but by this time, the empire had fragmented into smaller city-states. After the fall, the remnants of the Hittite population continued to live in the region, forming smaller Neo-Hittite states in Syria and southern Anatolia. These city-states persisted for several centuries, but eventually fell to the expanding Assyrian Empire. The once great land of the Hittites was absorbed into new emerging powers, and Hittite culture gradually faded. Despite their fall, the Hittites left a major impact on law, administration, and military strategy, influencing later civilizations of the Near East. The Assyrian Empire was one of the most powerful civilizations of the ancient Near East, with its dominance stretching from around 1365 BC to 609 BC. At its height, during the Neo-Assyrian period, between 911 to 609 BC, the empire controlled vast territories, including Mesopotamia, the Levant, Anatolia, and parts of Egypt. The Assyrians were known for their military skills, advanced siege warfare, and brutal tactics against enemies. Their capital cities, such as Nineveh and Ashur, were centers of administration, culture, and learning. Assyrian rulers like Tiglath-Pileser III, Sargon II, Sennacherib, and Ashurbanipal expanded the empire through relentless conquest and created one of the earliest organized bureaucracies. Despite its strengths, the Assyrian Empire fell due to internal instability, overextension, and external invasions. By the late 7th century BC, the empire faced widespread revolts from its subject peoples. The Babylonians, under King Nabal-Polasser, and the Medes, led by Cyaxares, formed an alliance against Assyria. In 612 BC, Nineveh, the heart of the empire, was sacked and destroyed. The final remnants of Assyrian resistance fell at Haran in 609 BC, marking the end of Assyrian dominance. Ashur-uballit II, the last recorded Assyrian king, made a failed attempt to reclaim power before disappearing from history. After the fall, the Assyrian people were largely absorbed into the Babylonian and Median cultures, and many Assyrians continued to live in the region, but their political influence was erased. The former Assyrian heartland became a battleground between the Babylonians, Medes, and later Persians. Despite their downfall, Assyrian innovations in governance, military tactics, and infrastructure influenced future empires, including the Babylonians and Persians. The Neo-Babylonian Empire rose to prominence in 626 BC after the fall of the Assyrian Empire, reaching its peak under King Nebuchadnezzar II between 605 to 562 BC. Centered in Mesopotamia, the empire became the dominant power of the ancient Near East, controlling vast territories, including parts of modern-day Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Israel, and Jordan. Babylon, the capital, was a magnificent city, renowned for its towering walls, the Ishtar Gate, and the legendary Hanging Gardens. The empire played a key role in Mesopotamian culture, reviving Sumerian and Akkadian traditions while advancing astronomy, mathematics, and literature. Nebuchadnezzar II is also known for the conquest of Jerusalem in 586 BC, leading to the Babylonian captivity of the Jewish people. The empire's decline began after Nebuchadnezzar's death, as weak rulers and internal conflicts destabilized Babylon. The last king, Nabonidus, was unpopular due to his religious reforms and prolonged absence from Babylon. In 539 BC, the Persian king Cyrus the Great invaded, taking advantage of Babylon's weakened state. The city fell without significant resistance, as the Persian army entered through the Euphrates River. Nabonidus was captured, and Cyrus declared himself ruler, integrating Babylon into the growing Achaemenid Persian Empire. Following the fall, Babylon remained an important cultural and administrative center under Persian rule, but it lost its independence. The people of the Neo-Babylonian Empire were absorbed into Persian society, though their traditions and scholarship continued to influence later civilizations. The land remained prosperous but was now part of a much larger empire. The Western Roman Empire was the western half of the Roman Empire, formally established after the division of the empire in 285 by Emperor Diocletian. At its height, Rome controlled vast territories across Europe, North Africa, and the Mediterranean. It was a center of military power, engineering, governance, and culture, laying the foundation for Western civilization. The empire's road networks, legal systems, and administrative structures shaped future European societies. However, by the late 4th and early 5th centuries, internal decay and external pressures weakened its authority. The fall of the Western Roman Empire was a gradual process influenced by political instability, economic troubles, military decline, and barbarian invasions. Corruption, civil wars, and reliance on mercenary forces eroded Roman power. The empire suffered repeated invasions from Germanic tribes, including the Visigoths, who sacked Rome in 410 under Alaric. The Vandals further devastated Rome in 455, and the final collapse occurred in 476 when the Germanic chieftain Odoacer overthrew the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus. Unlike previous emperors, Romulus was not replaced, marking the symbolic end of Roman rule in the West. After the fall, the Western Roman Empire fractured into various barbarian kingdoms. The people of the empire adapted to new rulers, blending Roman traditions with Germanic customs. Latin remained a dominant language, and Roman law influenced emerging medieval legal systems. The former imperial territories evolved into early medieval states, including the Frankish, Visigothic, and Ostrogothic kingdoms. The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantine Empire, continued for nearly 1,000 years, preserving much of Rome's legacy. Despite its fall, the Western Roman Empire's influence endured through its language, legal traditions, and cultural foundations, shaping the course of European history for centuries to come. The Byzantine Empire, also known as the Eastern Roman Empire, emerged after the division of the Roman Empire in 285 and continued for over 1,000 years until its fall in 1453. Centered in Constantinople, the empire was a dominant force in the Mediterranean and Near East, preserving Roman law, Greek culture, and Christian traditions. Under emperors like Justinian I, the Byzantines expanded their territories, developed the Justinian Code, and conducted architectural marvels such as the Hagia Sophia. The empire played a crucial role in trade, diplomacy, and military conflicts, acting as a bridge between the ancient and medieval worlds. The decline of the Byzantium was gradual, marked by internal strife, economic struggles, and external threats. The empire faced repeated invasions from Persians, Arabs, Bulgars, and later the Seljuk Turks. The Fourth Crusade in 1204 was a devastating blow, as Western European crusaders sacked Constantinople and weakened Byzantine control. Though the empire was restored in 1261, under the Palaiologos dynasty, it never regained its former strength. By the 5th century, the Ottoman Turks, led by Sultan Mehmed II, besieged Constantinople. On May 29, 1453, the city fell, and Emperor Constantine XI died in battle, marking the end of the Byzantine Empire. After the fall, many Byzantine scholars and artists fled to Western Europe, contributing to the Renaissance. The people who remained became subjects of the Ottoman Empire, and Constantinople was renamed Istanbul, becoming the Ottoman capital. Byzantine culture, Orthodox Christianity, and legal traditions persisted, influencing Russia, Eastern Europe, and the Islamic world. Though its empire fell, Byzantium's legacy endured in law, art, and religion, shaping the development of modern Europe and the Mediterranean for centuries. The Inca Empire, the largest civilization in pre-Columbian America, thrived in the Andes region of South America from the early 15th century until its fall in the 16th century. At its height, the empire stretched across modern-day Peru, Ecuador, Bolivia, Chile, Argentina, and Colombia, with Cusco at its capital. The Incas developed an advanced society with extensive road networks, agriculture, and sophisticated architecture, including Machu Picchu. Their government was highly organized, using a system of knotted cords for record-keeping, and a labor tax system called Mida. The empire was unified under the worship of Inti, the sun god, and ruled by the Sapa Inca, who was considered divine. The fall of the Inca Empire began with internal conflict, and after the death of Emperor Huayna Capac around 1527, his sons, Atahualpa and Huáscar, fought a brutal civil war for the throne. Atahualpa emerged victorious, but his rule was short-lived. In 1532, Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro arrived with a small force and captured Atahualpa in Cajamarca. Despite paying a massive ransom in gold and silver, Atahualpa was exiled in 1533. The Spanish then marched on Cusco, seizing the capital and dismantling the empire. After the fall, the Incas resisted under leaders like Manco Inca, who established a rebel stronghold in Vilcabamba until the Spanish crushed it in 1572. The Inca population suffered from forced labor, enslavement, and European diseases. The land was divided into Spanish colonies, and native traditions were suppressed. However, aspects of Inca culture, language, and agricultural practices persisted among indigenous communities. The Inca legacy remains influential in Andean society, with Quechua still spoken and Inca engineering marvels standing as reminders of their once great empire. The Aztec Empire was a powerful Mesoamerican civilization that thrived from the 14th to the early 16th century in what is now central Mexico. Emerging as a dominant force in the Valley of Mexico, the Aztecs, also known as the Mexica, established their capital, Tenochtitlan, in 1325 on an island in Lake Texcoco. Through military conquest and strategic alliances, they built a vast empire that controlled numerous city-states and extracted tribute from conquered peoples. The Aztecs developed a sophisticated society with impressive architectural feats, an extensive trade network, and a complex religious system that revolved around deities such as Huitzilopochtli and Quetzalcoatl. Their influence extended across much of Mesoamerica, making them one of the most powerful civilizations of their time. The fall of the Aztec Empire began with the arrival of Spanish conquistador Hernán Cortés in 1519. Initially welcomed by Emperor Montezuma II, the Spaniards took advantage of internal divisions among the Aztecs and their subject peoples. In 1520, tensions escalated when the Spanish massacred Aztec nobles, leading to a violent rebellion that forced the conquistadors to flee in an event known as La Noche Triste. However, with the help of indigenous allies, such as the Tlaxcalans, Cortés regrouped and launched a final siege on Tenochtitlan in 1521. The city fell on August 13th after months of starvation, disease, and relentless warfare. Montezuma II had died earlier under mysterious circumstances, and his successor, Cuauhtémoc, was captured and later executed by the Spanish. Following the fall of the Aztec Empire, the Spanish established Mexico City atop the ruins of Tenochtitlan, marking the beginning of Spanish colonial rule in Mexico. The indigenous population suffered greatly from European diseases, forced labor, and cultural suppression. Many Aztecs were either enslaved or taken in by the new colonial society, while their temples and monuments were destroyed or repurposed. The conquest of the Aztecs paved the way for Spanish dominance in the Americas, leading to the spread of European culture, language, and religion. The Ottoman Empire was one of the most powerful empires in history, lasting from 1299 to 1922. Founded by Osman I in Anatolia, it expanded rapidly, conquering vast territories across Southeast Europe, the Middle East, and North Africa. At its height in the 16th and 17th centuries, under rulers like Suleiman the Magnificent, the empire was a dominant global power, controlling major trade routes and influencing politics, culture, and military affairs. The Ottomans developed a sophisticated administration, blending Islamic governance with a diverse, multi-ethnic society. Their capital, Constantinople, which is now modern-day Istanbul, became a thriving center of commerce, learning, and architecture. The empire's decline was gradual, beginning in the late 17th century due to military defeats, economic struggles, internal corruption, and growing nationalist movements. By the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire was referred to as the sick man of Europe, as European powers took advantage of its weakening grip on territories, and World War I ended up being the final blow. Siding with Germany and the Central Powers, the Ottomans suffered a crushing defeat. In 1920, the Treaty of Severus dismantled much of the empire, leading to the Turkish War of Independence. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultan, Mehmed VI, was overthrown, and in 1923, Mustafa Kemal Ataturk officially abolished the Ottoman state, establishing the Republic of Turkey. After the empire's fall, former Ottoman territories were divided among European powers, leading to the creation of modern nations such as Turkey, Iraq, Syria, and others. The Ottoman ruling elite lost power, while many people adapted to new national identities. The fall of the Ottoman Empire reshaped the Middle East and Balkans, creating long-lasting political and ethnic tensions. Despite its collapse, Ottoman cultural and architectural influences remained deeply embedded in the regions it once controlled. The Austro-Hungarian Empire was a major European power that existed from 1867 to 1918. Formed through the Austro-Hungarian Compromise of 1867, it was a dual monarchy that united Austria and Hungary under Emperor Franz Joseph I. The empire controlled vast and diverse territories, including modern-day Austria, Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia, and parts of Poland, Ukraine, Romania, and Italy. It was an influential political, economic, and military force in Europe, playing a key role in diplomacy and industrial development. Despite its strength, the empire struggled with nationalist ties among its various ethnic groups, including Slavs, Germans, Magyars, and Italians. Eventually, the empire's downfall was directly linked to World War I. As an ally of Germany, Austria-Hungary declared war on Serbia in 1914 after the assassination of Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the throne. This event triggered a global conflict that severely weakened the empire. Military defeats, economic hardship, and growing nationalist movements led to internal collapse. In 1916, Emperor Franz Joseph I died, and his successor, Charles I, was unable to prevent the empire's disintegration. By the late 1918, as World War I neared its end, various ethnic groups declared independence, and Austria-Hungary effectively ceased to exist. After the empire's dissolution, its former territories were divided into multiple independent nations, including Austria, Hungary, Czechoslovakia, and Yugoslavia, while others were annexed by neighboring countries. The people of the empire had to adapt to new national identities and borders, often leading to political instability and ethnic conflicts in the years that followed. The fall of Austria-Hungary marked the end of centuries of Habsburg rule in Central Europe and reshaped the region's political landscape, contributing to tensions that would later lead to World War II. Thank you very much for watching this video, and if you learned something, make sure to leave a like. Comment down below your thoughts on any of the fallen societies I discussed in this video, and subscribe if you would like to see a part 2 or more videos like this one. Thank you again, and goodbye.